Hey YouTube, I'm back now. I hope all of you saw and enjoyed my Generation Force pack openings. I personally think that this is an amazing set. I think that the XYZ Exceed monsters in the set are really good, and I think that there's a lot of really good spell and traps. I think that the exclusives are really good, and I think that this game might be moving more towards a way of separate ban lists, because the TCG exclusives have become so prominent, you know, so like good. The exclusives aren't bad anymore. I mean, starting from Fabled Darkness with Allure of Darkness, and you can even go further back than that. TCG exclusives have just become, you know, game changers. You know, Reborn Tango, X-Saber, Dark Soul, Gravekeeper's Recruiter. These are all the cards that have been in championship level decks. So, you know, and I think that we might be seeing that soon. And this set is not at all to be left behind on the TCG exclusives. But today we're going to take a little OCG, and we're going to be playing. This is a deck that I will play next format. Of course, if the deck's hit by the ban list, you know, or if cards on it are hit by the ban list, stuff like Monster Reborn, or if other stuff comes back, you know, such and such, obviously there'll be changes and you could consider this deck outdated. But because I was able to get Leviair the Sea Dragon, you can check out my next week card of the review for a full card of the week review for a full update on what he does and how to abuse him and how to get it and how to really get the effect out. So Leviair the Sea Dragon is he's a really good card in this deck, and you can check my other video to see fully what he does. I'll post a link to his page on the wiki to see. But this is a Darkworld deck. It is post the Gates of the Underworld, structure deck 22, 21, structured, so many of them now, post that structure deck, so we'll be able to, so this deck is going to be able to use cards in the future, so any card that I'm using that you've never heard of before, I will go ahead and just tell you what it does. So the main card of the deck is Grapha, Dragon Guard of Darkworld. I play 3 of these. If you play as many of these as you possibly can. Grapha has 3 effects. The first effect is when he's discarded from your hand by a card effect, you can destroy 1 card on your opponent's side of the field. That's great. The second card effect is when he's discarded by your opponent's card effect, in addition to destroying 1 card on the field, you can select 1 random card in your opponent's hand and look at it. If it's a monster card, special summon it to your side of the field. Pretty solid effect, honestly, because you still look at your opponent's hand. Right, but Darkworld monsters rarely get their secondary effects unless you play Celery, which I'm not too big of a fan of because he requires you to run too many other stuff. But his other effect, his last effect, is the one that I like to use the most. And that is when he's in your graveyard, you can select 1 face-up Darkworld monster you control, return that card to your hand to special summon him from the grave. It's a cost, so even if he's Solemn Warning, you can still keep the monster in your hand, and Grapha just stays in the grave. And then if you can get another Darkworld monster in the field, you can just get him out. This deck gets around Solemn Warning fairly well, right? Of course, it's still Solemn Warning, it's still a great card, and it can still get through stuff. So Grapha is the main engine of the deck. I actually call this deck Grapha Virus Turbo. Okay. Now, the deck also got consistency added. Snow, the Mage of Darkworld. Snow's effect. Snow is 1700 attack, 0D, 4-star Fiend. Grapha is 2718 and 8-star Fiend. Okay. Snow is 1700, and his effect is when this card is discarded from your hand by a card effect, search your deck for a Darkworld card. So any card that says Darkworld in its name, you can search for. That could be gold, silver, Grapha, Gate of the Darkworld, Darkworld Dealings, Darkworld Lightning. You know, you can search for any of those cards, depending on whatever ones you play, but Snow can search it out. So, of course, you play 3. There's no reason not to play 3. Snow's secondary effect is when it's discarded by an opponent's card effect, in addition to searching your deck for any card, you can select 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard and special summon it to your side of the field in defense position. Great effect if you can get it off, of course. Okay, so Grapha and Snow. Now, the next card is Broww, Huntsman of Darkworld, and of course I play 3 of those. Now this is the draw power engine. If you don't know what Broww does, when it's discarded by your hand, by your effect, draw 1. If it's discarded by your opponent's effect, draw 2. Royal Tribute. If you opponent Royal Tribute to you, you're getting a brand new hand with this card's in your hand. If your opponent rolled tribute 2 in this deck, you probably won. Now, Broww, the Huntsman of Darkworld, he is 14, 18, and 8, but his main thing is that right there, 3 stars, right? Because now there's a reason for these 3, as you've seen in my card of my Tuesday night card of the week number 1 tour guide from the Underworld. Now, there's been a new ruling on tour guide from Sangan, been posted by Kevin Stewart, that when XYZ materials are sent from the XYZ monster to the grave, they will get their graveyard effects. So Sangan's effect will activate, meaning that now when you search out for Sangan with tour guide, you can immediately pitch a monster and get the search effect. But also, there's the play with Leviair, the Sea Dragon. In fact, I'll probably show that play right now after I finish up the video, just to show you just how potent it can be. But tour guide also searches Broww. Now, if Grapha is in your graveyard and you summon tour guide and you get a Broww, you can add the Broww to your hand to get Grapha out, and now you still have a Broww. So as soon as they kill the Grapha, you summon the Broww, return it to your hand, Grapha come back, right? Or you could just XYZ for Leviair and get something else that you got out. So you can make, so there's tremendous looping ability in this deck, and you can keep. It is very hard to get rid of Grapha once you set him up, and it's not. And this deck is based on setting him up and then wiping out your opponent's resources. So 3 tour guides. Unfortunately for everyone else, if you haven't got them before, you know, I tried to warn you that the card would be going up, up, up. The card is now about $75 on eBay. When Generation Force is legal, and now with the new Sangan ruling, if Sangan it doesn't get banned, which some people think it will, it's in the new Turbo Pack, which by the way I love the new Turbo Pack, right? If Sangan does not get banned, then you're not gonna see tour guide go down at all. Unless some people think it'll be in Legendary Collection, I don't think so. But tour guide is going to be $100 plus easily. So if you could get your hands on these now, you might still be saving yourself some money while they're only $75. I could guarantee you they will be more than $75 in a few weeks. So now, next card I played is more in the tech and the setup abilities. 2 Armageddon Knight. As you can see, Grapha's effect is really important when he's really important for me that he's in the graveyard, so I could start that play. So I played 2 Armageddon Knight just to make sure I could get Grapha in the graveyard by turn 2 or 3, in the latest, right? So 2 Armageddon Knight. A very underrated card too. When it's summoned, it gets its effects, so it's not just any sort of summon. So it's really good. 1 Dark Arm Dragon. I want an ulti. Anyone can bring me an ulti. I will trade a lot for an ulti. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay. 1 Fabled Raven. Fabled Raven, when you discard, you get the boost, but it's not a cost, right? So you don't discard for Raven as a cost if they Veiler it. So that means your Darkworld monsters will actually get their effects because they're being discarded for a card effect. So I play 1 Fabled Raven, A, just to have a tuner option, and B, for the ability to make Dark Highlander. You know, in my other deck, I play Archlord Christia, and that could win me a game. Dark Highlander, your opponent cannot Synchro Summon. No one can Synchro Summon. That's pretty big, and he's on a 2800 body. Honestly, Dark Highlander is a really good card if you can get him out, but Fabled Raven helps you get it out easily. You know, you drop him, you pitch a card like Broww, draw 1, and then you sync with a Darkworld monster already on the field. You could play Beige if you wanted to for a faster version, but that seems to be slightly inconsistent. You would need both of them in your hands. But Raven could always just be used as a discard outlet just to get stuff out of your hand. This 1 Sangan. As we mentioned, the new ruling has made Sangan absolutely incredible, honestly. The fact that you could, with Tour Guide, easily drop him out, pitch him, bring out an XYZ, search your deck. Okay, so now I'm going to go through, before I get to the Spell and Trap lineup, remember the deck list will be in the back. I want to go into a combo that in this deck is a nice +3. Graph is in the graveyard, correct? Now, Broww is removed from play, either for the Gate of the Darkworld, which you'll see what it does, or Allure of Darkness. And Tour Guide's in your hand, Sangan's in your deck, right? Okay. This is the only card in your hand. Sangan's still in your deck. You summon Tour Guide, right? You search your deck, Sangan, +1. XYZ sync up for Leviair the Sea Dragon, whose effect is when you detach an XYZ material, you can revive or remove from play monster. So you pitch the Sangan, put Sangan in the grave, bring back Broww. Broww effect activate. Sangan's effect activates in the grave. Shut yourself out of Fabled Raven. Now, use Grapha's effect, bounce Broww, Grapha. You went from 1 card to 4, and you have a huge field advantage. And now you have a Raven and a Broww in your hand. So next turn, even if you have to, you could always just Raven, pitch to draw 1. And then you could go in, and you could just keep the Grapha on the field. That is an amazing play in this deck. And now with that new ruling, it becomes so much better. Okay, so we won't talk too much longer on that. I want to get back to the rest of the deck. Okay, Darkworld dealings. 3 Darkworld dealings. It's draw power. Yes, it could set your opponent up, so maybe you side a couple out depending on the deck you're facing against. But it's important to set yourself up. And this can get stuff out of your hand or it can get snow into the grave. Next card is Gate of the Darkworld. This is the plus engine in the deck. It's one of the many plus engines in the deck, but it's a plus engine in the deck. Now, all fiends gain 300 attack. Correct? When once per turn, you can remove from play a fiend. You can banish a fiend to discard a fiend. Now, that's an effect. And then draw 1. So you discard a Darkworld monster. You draw 1, replacing the card that you discarded. And then you search your deck for snow, or you draw for Broww, or you destroy with Grapha. You get the idea. And it also sets up your plays later for Levier. So this is pretty much the heart of the deck, like the heart of the deck. Well, I could say Grapha's the muscle and Snow's the brains. This is the heart of the deck. This sets everything up. This card is actually a little bit overpowered, and I would not be surprised if this is actually the first field spell to find its way onto a limited list. Maybe as a semi-limit. It's a little too wicked at 3. Okay, 2 Mystical Space Typhhon. Now we're just getting into staple territory. Great card. 1 Allure of Darkness. See my zombie video. This deck plays the same way. Any deck playing Tour Guide, Allure of Darkness works as graceful charity. Okay, Allure of Darkness. Book of Moon. Card D. Darkworld. No need to explain there. Card D is almost a free plus at any time. Okay. Dark Hole. Foolish Burial. Okay, Grapha in the grid. Gigantic Trunade. Mind Control. I prefer Mind Control now over Mirror Force, simply because with XYZ monsters out, I just want to always get control of my opponent's monster and use it. And Mind Controlling Raikou and just this, Mind Control to me is way too busted at this point. I could see this not being around for too much longer, but we'll see. I cut Mirror Force for this. I'm kind of done with Mirror Force, to be honest. 1 Monster Reborn. Self-explanatory. Probably won't be running that next format for hopeful reasons of banning. 2 Eradicator Epidemic Virus. This is huge back row hate. Tribute a Dark Monster, 2500 or more attack. And then Harpy's Feather Duster. And then hit the hand tail. Spells or traps usually you call traps, or if your opponent has no back row, you call spells. That way he can't, just smash you. So, Eradicator Epidemic Virus is just really good, and it's really easy to get Grapha on the field, so you just run Eradicator Virus. I side a 3rd, actually, depending on the deck I'm facing, and I also side 3 Deck Devastation Virus, depending on the deck I'm facing. Double Solemn Warning. No reason not to run 2 of those, unless you're playing just straight Royal Decree. Mind Crush. You will always know it's in your opponent's hand in this deck, honestly. You have the Eradicator viruses, you have Grapha's effect, you have your opponent just searching stuff out on his own, and you also have your opponent. I know some people who like to play like this when they play, and you can see their hand, and I punish plenty of people for doing that. I see the Dark Hole in their hand, Mind Crush Dark Hole, and just get it out. If you're gonna give me the game, go ahead. I'm not saying that'll happen against good players, but Mind Crush is a wonderful, wonderful card. 1 Solemn Judgment, 1 Torrential Tribute. So that's the Darkworld deck. Stay tuned next week for my review on Levier the Sea Dragon. Hopefully by then I'll have an ultimate rare version. I'm going to try to pick that up either today or over the course of the weekend. From the new set, I'm looking for Steel Swarm Roach. I'm looking for Elemental Hero Nova Master. I'm looking for Orient Dragon. I'm looking for a lot of cards, honestly. I need a lot. I want Ghost or Ultimate Rare Leviathan Dragon. So, we'll see what you guys can do. If you get them, I will work out a trade. I have stuff for trades that I'm just trying to, you know, ship off a little bit. But we will see how that works out. So this is the Darkworld deck. I hope you guys enjoyed the deck. I definitely know I enjoy playing it. If you have any questions, let me know. Please subscribe and check out my Wind Up Zenmeister 10. We're up to about 9 contestants now. And as soon as that 16th spot is filled, I'm just going to write out the tournament, and then that's going to be it. You know, so whoever wins will get a Wind Up Zenmeister 10. You can check the video on my channel. Subscribe, like, thank you.